I never imagined that a simple misunderstanding could spiral into something so devastating, but that morning changed everything. My name is Lauren, I'm 32, and until that day I thought my husband Michael and I had built something unbreakable. We had been together for 8 years, married for 5, and I always believed that our bond could withstand anything. But I was wrong. It started with a small incident, the kind you would normally shrug off. I had been chatting with a friend online, joking around, nothing serious, nothing inappropriate. I laughed at a message and sent a playful comment, thinking Michael would see it as the harmless banter it was. But apparently he saw it differently, in a way I could never have anticipated. I had no idea he even noticed, and certainly I had no idea he was keeping track. The night before, we had been at a neighborhood barbecue. It was casual, just neighbors and a few close friends, nothing fancy. I was in my element, laughing, mingling, sharing stories and joking about trivial things, trying to keep the atmosphere light. Michael was there too, quietly sipping his drink, smiling politely at everyone, the calm to my energy. I never thought twice about how he was feeling. I assumed he was content, as always. The next morning, I woke to a strange silence. Michael wasn't in bed beside me, and the house felt emptier than usual. I went to the kitchen and noticed a single envelope placed neatly on the counter. My heart skipped a beat. I picked it up, turned it over in my hands, and saw my name written in his handwriting, careful, deliberate. That alone should have warned me. Something in me already knew, but I couldn't process it yet. I tore the envelope open and pulled out the letter inside. It was unlike any letter I had ever received. His handwriting was steady, almost eerily calm. The first lines cut straight to the core. Lauren, I never imagined I would have to write this, but here we are. I can't stay silent any longer. I need you to understand what you've done, not to blame you, but to make sense of what I can't unsee. I read further, each sentence striking me like a hammer. He recounted moments I had forgotten, small instances where he had felt overlooked, dismissed, or belittled. The late nights when I laughed at jokes he didn't find funny, the times I made casual remarks that undermined him in front of friends, the subtle sarcasm I thought was harmless. Every word cut deep because, at first, I didn't realize I had been hurting him so consistently. Then came the part that made my chest tighten so much I felt like I couldn't breathe. He wrote about the day he had realized something had shifted irreversibly, a day I had no memory of but he remembered vividly. It was a small gathering with our closest friends, nothing that seemed significant at the time. I had joked, casually, about how he always let me take the lead in every little thing, how I handled situations better, and how he was easy to manage. The room had laughed along with me and I thought it was harmless, even funny. But to him, it was the tipping point, the moment he saw that he was no longer a partner, no longer an equal. He felt invisible, reduced to a punchline, and he kept it bottled inside, hoping I would notice, hoping I would change. The letter continued, detailing the nights he had stayed silent, the dinners where he barely spoke, the vacations where he smiled through the cracks of his frustration, all because he loved me and didn't want to hurt me. I was stunned. I had no idea that my casual comments and playful jabs had accumulated into a silent storm in his mind. I realized I had been blind, not malicious, but careless in a way that destroyed the foundation I thought was solid. Then came the most heart-wrenching lines. Lauren, I can't continue like this. I can't wake up every day feeling like I'm lesser in the eyes of the person I love most. I've tried to speak up, tried to explain, tried to show you how deeply this affects me, but it seems my words were never enough. You need to understand that respect and love must coexist. When one diminishes the other, love alone cannot survive. My hands shook as I read. The tone was calm, composed, yet the weight of every sentence screamed pain and finality. I realized this wasn't a letter written in anger or in haste. It was carefully constructed, deliberate, and heartbreaking because it reflected years of suppressed disappointment. Every paragraph was a mirror showing me not just what I had done wrong, but how deeply it had affected him. He described his decision not as impulsive but inevitable. He spoke of the mornings he woke up wondering if he could continue pretending, the afternoons he spent silently withdrawing, and the nights he cried quietly in the bedroom while I slept. He didn't blame me entirely. He acknowledged his own failures, his inability to confront me sooner, his moments of weakness. But he was clear. He couldn't go on living in a relationship where he felt small, unseen, and unvalued. The last paragraph was the hardest to read. He wrote, I hope one day you understand, Lauren, not because I wish to hurt you, but because I want you to see how actions, even those done in jest, carry weight. I am leaving now, not out of spite but out of necessity. I need to find peace, dignity, and the life I deserve. Please do not try to stop me. Please do not try to explain. This is the only way I can heal. I dropped the letter onto the counter, unable to hold it any longer. Tears streamed down my face not because I didn't love him but because I finally saw him. The real Michael, the man I had taken for granted, the silent sufferer who had endured so much for my happiness while I remained oblivious. The weight of my ignorance pressed down on me. Every memory I had once laughed about now carried a sharp edge of regret. The house remained silent. I didn't hear the creak of his boots, didn't see the door close, and yet I knew he had gone. His absence filled the space in a way I had never felt before. I wandered through the rooms, touching things he had used, noticing the small details he had once mentioned, realizing how present he had always been even when I was unaware. And now he was gone. I sank to the floor, holding the letter, rereading lines that simultaneously comforted and devastated me. I realized that love alone had not been enough. Respect, acknowledgement, and consideration were equally essential. I had thought my playful teasing was harmless, but it had been corrosive, slowly eating away at the trust and admiration that had been the foundation of our marriage. That morning, I understood the truth in a way that no conversation, no argument, no apology could ever convey. Michael's goodbye letter wasn't just a farewell, it was a mirror, a lesson, and a warning. I had no idea he knew the depth of my disregard, and I certainly had no idea how permanent his decision would be.